Have you ever noticed how the richest people in your city, the ones living in the quiet, gated neighborhoods, rarely own the flashy tech startups or the trendy social media agencies everyone talks about? Instead, they own the boring, invisible businesses that you drive past every single day without a second glance. While everyone else is chasing the next crowded digital trend, a small group of quiet operators are making absolute fortunes from overlooked, old school industries that modern society has completely forgotten. And right now, as we move deeper into 2026, a massive shift is happening. The saturation of online businesses has opened the floodgates for physical, essential, and neglected service markets to generate unprecedented cash flow. If you think all the easy money has already been made, you're playing the game with a blindfold on. Because today, we're exposing the forgotten businesses that are quietly minting millionaires while everyone else looks the other way. Let's start with something hiding in plain sight: specialized commercial hood cleaning and industrial exhaust maintenance. Every single restaurant, hotel, and corporate cafeteria in America is legally required by fire codes to have their kitchen exhaust systems scrubbed clean multiple times a year. If they don't, they lose their insurance and face immediate closure. Sounds unglamorous, right? That is exactly why there is almost zero competition. While 20-year-olds are fighting over fractions of a cent in dropshipping, a local hood cleaning crew rolls up to a mid-sized restaurant at midnight, spends 3 hours scraping grease, and invoices anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 for a single night's work. The profit margins routinely sit above 80% because the overhead is remarkably low, just a pressure washer, degreasing chemicals, and a certification. Think about the psychological trigger here. Fear of regulation combined with the dirty, essential chore that nobody from the white-collar world wants to touch. When you remove your ego from how a business looks on the outside, you realize that the grosser or more boring a service is, the less competition you face, and the higher your pricing power becomes. But it goes much deeper than just commercial cleaning. Let's look at the second forgotten goldmine: vintage architectural salvage and deconstruction. Every day, historic homes, old brick warehouses, and mid-century commercial buildings are demolished to make way for modern glass apartments. To a normal person, it's just rubble. To an elite salvage operator, it is a literal mountain of free gold. Now, let's look at a psychological trap that keeps most people broke. We are conditioned to believe that to make serious money, you need to scale globally, build an app, or manage hundreds of employees. That is a lie sold to us by media companies that profit off our attention. The highest cash flowing businesses are often hyperlocal, deeply unsexy, and completely insulated from economic downturns. Take mobile document shredding and secure hard drive destruction for medical and legal offices. Every doctor, lawyer, accountant, and financial advisor is bound by strict privacy laws. They cannot simply throw sensitive client files into a dumpster. Instead of buying expensive stationary shredders, they pay a premium for a specialized truck with industrial shredders built right into the back to pull up to their office parking lot once a month. The client watches the confidential documents turn into confetti through a glass window, pays a monthly retainer, and feels an immense sense of relief. The business owner locks in predictable, recurring subscription revenue from hundreds of local businesses, stacking up cash flow that rivals tech executives, all while driving a specialized truck around town. Why does this work so well? Because peace of mind is the easiest thing in the world to monetize. People will gladly pay a monthly ransom to protect their reputation and avoid legal liability. As we move through 2026, consumer behavior is shifting away from digital fatigue back toward physical reliability. This brings us to a fourth forgotten asset class: commercial turf and industrial landscaping asset management for corporate parks. Most people think landscaping is just a guy with a lawnmower making $20 an hour. That is retail landscaping. Commercial asset management is entirely different. Corporate office parks, industrial complexes, and luxury homeowners associations sign multi-year contracts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain complex irrigation, drainage, and seasonal plant ecosystems. If a corporate park's lawn looks dry or unkempt, it hurts their brand image to prospective tenants. Therefore, they do not shop for the cheapest price. They shop for absolute reliability. Once you secure a portfolio of 5 corporate clients, your revenue is locked in for years, allowing you to hire crews, automate the operations, and step entirely out of the physical labor within 12 months. You stop trading your time for money and start owning a system that extracts cash from corporate budgets that must be spent before the fiscal year ends. Consider the profound shift happening in human psychology right now. We live in an era of overwhelming digital noise, artificial intelligence, text, and screen fatigue. Anything physical, authentic, and rooted in the real world is experiencing a massive premium. This opens the door to our fifth forgotten business: niche asset restoration and historical preservation. Think about antique clock repair, vintage book restoration, high-end oriental rug cleaning, or heirloom furniture restoration. These are crafts that are dying out because the older generation of masters is retiring, and nobody from the younger generation is learning the skills. If you're one of the few people who actually knows how to restore a 150-year-old grandfather clock or preserve a rare leather-bound book, you don't have competitors, you have a monopoly. Wealthy collectors and museums from all over the country will ship their priceless items to your workshop and write blank checks because they value preservation over cost. You can charge $500 an hour simply because supply is near zero and demand among collectors is desperate. It forces us to rethink what a valuable skill actually is in the modern economy. The most valuable skills are often the ones everyone else abandoned because they looked outdated. Let's pause and run a quick mental experiment. Imagine two people starting their wealth building journey today. Person A spent 6 months building an e-commerce brand, fighting against thousands of overseas competitors, burning money on Facebook ads, and dealing with supply chain delays, making a net margin of 5%. Person B buys a used pressure washing trailer, targets luxury suburban neighborhoods with moss-covered roofs, and secures recurring annual contracts to clean outdoor surfaces, walking away with an 80% profit margin on every single job. Within 1 year, Person B has built a real tangible asset with cash flowing into their bank account every single day, while Person A is deeper in debt and exhausted from chasing trends. The opportunity for 2026 is not in doing what is new. It is in owning what is necessary. It is about finding the boring inefficiencies in the physical world and inserting yourself as the indispensable solution. So, how do you find these businesses? Stop asking, what can I start? And start asking, what is already working but nobody wants to do? Look for businesses with high barriers to entry that have nothing to do with technology. These are capital-intensive services that require equipment, specialized knowledge, or regulatory compliance. The easiest way to get into this is not to build from scratch, but to acquire an existing business from an aging owner. The silver tsunami is here. Thousands of baby boomers who own solid, profitable, boring service companies are retiring every single day. They have no succession plan because their children don't want to take over the dirty work. This creates a massive opportunity for you to step in. You don't need to be an expert in cleaning, shredding, or landscaping. You just need to be an expert in buying the asset and hiring a competent manager to run the day-to-day operations. The strategy is simple. Buy the cash flow, install the management, collect the profit. Let's look at the economics of a typical acquisition. You can acquire a boring, essential business doing $500,000 a year in revenue with an SDE of $150,000. Using SBA financing, you might only need 10% down. That's $15,000 of your own capital to acquire a business that pays you $150,000 a year. The business pays for itself in roughly 13 months. This is not investing, this is financial leverage. It requires zero genius, but it requires 100% courage to step off the trend-chasing hamster wheel. The psychological shift is this: get comfortable being invisible. The most profitable people in 2026 will be the ones whose names you never hear, doing work you never think about. This is your roadmap to building real wealth, not just a digital following. Let's quickly recap the 5 businesses we covered today that are minting millionaires in plain sight. Number 1. Commercial exhaust hood cleaning. Number 2. Vintage architectural salvage. Number 3. Mobile document destruction. Number 4. Commercial landscaping asset management. And number 5. Niche asset restoration. The question isn't whether these businesses work. The question is, Are you willing to do what is required to own one? The window of opportunity to acquire these businesses using SBA financing at these rates is wide open right now. But as more people wake up to this reality, the competition to acquire them will increase and the prices will go up. You can either be the person who reads about this 5 years from now, wishing you had acted, or you can be the person who quietly owns the asset. The choice is yours. Thanks for watching.